The toughest part of the buying and selling process can be getting the contract signed. You think you have an agreement and suddenly two legal departments are at loggerheads. And this drives the seller and the buyer crazy. I remember when I joined Motorola, there was a contract that we were trying to get signed for more than a year with one of the world's largest mining companies. And I think we were at something like 50 points of legal disagreement when I looked at that contract. And stories can really help at this point because they can make people look at contract disagreements in a different way. And I'll give you an example of the type of story that I used in that situation, not just to tell the buyer, but also to change the way our people thought about these disagreements. You need to persuade internally and externally, and you need to arm your sponsor, the person in the buying organization, to help them get around these legal problems on their side as well. And one of the stories I told was from a long time ago, back in the 1990s, I think, when I was with Schlumberger. I went to Houston on a training course. Don't remember what the course was, but I do remember a Brazilian sales manager in that training course. And while we were doing training exercises, he was busy trying to sell coffee. Well, Schlumberger is an oil and gas services company, and we're selling software, not coffee. So I'm like, what on earth is going on? And he explained to me that he had got to a contract impasse with Petrobras, the Brazilian national oil company. They insisted that the contract be denominated in the local currency, which I think was cruzados at the time, and Schlumberger insisted on US dollars. And eventually my friend agreed that they got a clause in that said, should the exchange rate change by a certain amount, certain percentage, they would get paid in coffee. And that's what happened. The exchange rate did change by more than the amount, and he had a whole lot of coffee to sell. So he spent that week selling coffee on the Coffee Futures Exchange successfully. Gleefully told me that he made more money than the contract value selling the coffee. And it's a great example of flexibility. Flexibility is what's needed in contract negotiation. Lawyers are not flexible, so they need to be helped with stories. And your buyer, your sponsor buyer, needs to hear these kinds of stories so they can try some things internally. And your own company needs to hear these stories because they will also have to change. Both sides have to move, and stories can really help. We closed that deal. It was only about $10 million from memory, but still, it had been sitting there more than a year unsigned because of people unable to be flexible in their thinking. And stories got it done.